Good morning, my name is Paul Vebrock and I'm the Director of Operations here at Riverbend. Before we start our service, I want to tell you about a couple of exciting events that we have coming up. But first, can I tell you how excited I am that you're here with us today? Whether you're here with us in the building or watching online, whether it's your first time or you've been here for years, we want you to know that Riverbend is a place where you are welcome. No matter who you are or what you believe, you're truly welcome at Riverbend.
The Pastoral Care Ministry invites you to join our team on November 10th and 11th for 24 hours of prayer at Riverbend's campus. Sign-ups are for any 1-hour time slot between 5 p.m. on Friday, November 10th and 5 p.m. on Saturday, November 11th. We'll meet in the upper room at your chosen time and pray together or individually with others who signed up for the same time slot. We look forward to this sacred experience as we unite in continuous prayer for God's goodness and for our November theme for Thanksgiving, gratitude, and peace. For more information, visit riverbend.com/events.
Thanksgiving is just around the corner, and depending on your plans, you might be feeling excited, stressed, or any number of things in between. What if God is inviting you to experience holidays differently this year? The Creative Arts team at Riverbend invites you to bring your family and friends for one special Thanksgiving worship service right here in the Home for Hope. At 10:30 on November 19th, we'll be challenged in message and song to discover God working throughout both our holiday highs and holiday lows. We can't wait to see you there.
At Riverbend, we believe that most people share a desire to know others and to be known. We're a church full of real people that are all seeking a deeper sense of connection with God and with each other. So let us help you. There are a ton of opportunities for you to get connected at Riverbend. Simply scan the QR code on the screen, on the pew in front of you, or on your bulletin to fill out the connection card and let us know how you'd like to get involved. You can also use the connection card to send us your prayer requests anytime. Our prayer team would love the opportunity to pray for you, and rest assured every prayer request is kept confidential.
Well, that's all we've got for you for this week's announcements. If you didn't get one on the way in, make sure you grab a bulletin. There you can learn more about everything that's happening around the bend. Thanks again for joining us today.
Welcome, Riverbend. We're so glad you're here. If you're new to our church, scan the QR code on the bench in front of you if you want to know more about us, because we want to know more about you. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but if you haven't gotten your marshmallow, make sure you get one. So raise your hand if you need a marshmallow, and someone will come bring you a marshmallow. Please stand up and say hi to someone.
Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are here, you're touching every heart. I worship you, yes, we worship you. You are here, you're healing every heart. I worship you, yes, I worship you. You are here, you're turning lives around. I worship you, yes, I worship you. You are here, you're mending every heart. I worship you, I worship you. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. That is who you are. That is who you are. That is who you make a way when there seems no Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in my darkness, my God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. That is who you are. That is who you is who you are. That is who
continue to worship with us.
Let the king of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from, oh, is my song. Let the king of my heart be the shadow where I hide, the ransom for my life, oh, is my song. 'Cause you are good, oh, you are good, good, oh, you are good, good, oh, you are good, good, oh, let the king of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in my waves, oh, is my song. Let the king of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days, oh, is my song. Sing it again. King of my heart, be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in my waves, oh, is my song. Let the king of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the anchor in my days, oh, is my song. You are good, you're good, oh, you are good, you're good, oh, you are good, you're good, oh, you are good, you're
You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down.
You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me
Oh, you are good, good.
That's worth clapping for. We're going to continue in our worship, and I'm just going to encourage you to take whatever posture you like to. If you sit, stand, whatever it may be, we're going to do a song that most of you probably know. It's called Be Thou My Vision. It's a hymn, right? And we're in a series about the fruit of the Spirit, and we're going into self-control today. And the thing I like about this hymn is it's a declaration of be my vision, be my wisdom, be my everything. And so what I want you to do is we sing this. We're going to sing the lyrics as they're written, but I want you to kind of replace that be thou my fill in the blank with that you are struggling with when it comes to self-control. The thing that you might go, I need you to be this for me today, God. Maybe even in just this moment. So that's the heart we kind of want to continue to worship with here this morning. Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart. Not be all else to me, save that thou art. My thoughts, my day and night. I'm walking and sleeping, thy presence. Riches I moving empty praise, my inheritance now and always, now and thou only Amen.
Well, it's hard to follow that. Can we thank Travis, Kathy, Mary, Scott, Dan, Tabor, Tony, and the behind-the-scenes people who do this every week? Can you guys thank them, please? So my name is Scott Reeves, and I have the honor to be the community engagement pastor here at Riverbend. And this is my friend, Bailey.
I'm Bailey Huffman. I'm the missions and outreach coordinator here at Riverbend.
So, yeah, let's applause him. Definitely applaud. So Bailey's a good friend. His dad is a good friend of mine, and so it's an honor to be here with you today. We're just going to share a few things about what your giving and generosity is allowing our church to do and many other churches in our city through our Missions and Austin Blessings Co-op.
So our co-op right now, like Scott said, is only possible because of y'all, both on the giving and on the volunteering side, being there present with us each and every week. We truly couldn't do all of the things that we're able to accomplish in a week without you. We're fortunate enough right now to have things going regularly, routinely, 6 days a week. Our Harvest Blessings food pantry is feeding over about 1,100 families each and every week. We have a Blessings Delivered ministry every Saturday that feeds, that partners with the Other Ones Foundation to take good, fresh groceries out there and feeding some of their patrons living out there. Our Baby Blessings ministry, thanks to all of y'all that gave earlier this year for our diaper drive that we had going. Fortunately, within the last few months, we've been able to go from 10,000 diapers a month to 15,000 diapers a month. And we're just steadily rising. We're continuing to be faithful in our giving, and we're so blessed and thankful to have a congregation and a family like Riverbend to be able to partner alongside of us and to support us as we continue to bless this community.
It's amazing what you're doing. You guys are doing. So there's literally, yeah, I mean, it's worth it. It's definitely well-deserved. So there's literally something going on almost every day of the week in some form, right? Yeah. I mean, it's pretty apparent in case you didn't notice. Christmas is just around the corner, and we're launching that up in our lobbies today with our Angels Afoot program ministry that has been a part of Riverbend's history for more than 25 years, I believe. Peggy Allen, who and her team faithfully led that ministry for years, and now we've got Karis and her team out in the lobby today. Can you tell us a little bit what's happening with toy stores, Angels Afoot coming up?
Yeah, so you'll see in the lobbies, there will be these little tree stands. You'll be able to buy gifts off of those tree stands, and those gifts are all going towards 3 toy stores that we at Austin Blessings Co-op get to do. We have 2 here in Austin, December 9th and December 10th. We love the gifts that we get to give, and we would love if you would consider donating and being a part of that. But come out and volunteer with us. We really could not do all that we're able to do without volunteers, so we encourage you to get your family, get your friends, invite some people, celebrate in the giving season this year. That's December 9th and December 10th in South and East Austin. And we also have a Piedras Negras missions trip down to Mexico at the first weekend of December. If you're interested in going on that trip as well, we're always looking for more volunteers. But it'll be a great beginning of December to be able to give all of these toys away and just bless this community.
And the Angels Afoot program, we need to mention this. We partner with more than 10 area agencies that help families in need with supplying those toys within those agencies. So Riverbend, as the catalyst, launches this across our city, and it's because of you guys that we're able to do that. There are multiple ways you can give. We try to make it as easy as possible. There are QR codes in your bulletin on front of you in the pews. You can go to our website at riverbend.com/give. You can text to give at 84321, and you can also drop donations as you exit today. Bailey, thank you for what your team, Brian, Rawson, and Carol, and they all do. And Krista, can we give them another round of applause?
And thank you all to be able to make it happen. Missions could not do it without such an incredible congregation and family, and so we're blessed to be able to do it alongside all of you.
Well, with that, can I pray as we continue our service, and I'll pray for our offerings, and then we'll continue in worship. God, thank you for this place that is special to all of us in this room in a variety of ways. We come to you broken, battered, bored, bruised. We need you, God, and we're thankful to be in community together, God, and through the work that our missions and Austin Blessings Co-op are doing literally around the world, to Mexico and El Salvador and beyond. It's because of these fine folks in the room watching, in our TV ministry and online, that faithfully support the ministry of the Riverbend, that we're able to share your love, your grace, and your hope with Austin and beyond. May you bless the rest of our service and those who are here today, and be with Dave, our pastor, as he delivers the message. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
So here we are down to the last week, and I don't know whose idea it was for me to write a song about self-control, but it wasn't easy, and I also know I have to be authentic in the way I write, or you won't believe me. And so the song was hard. I was changing the song even up until like 3 nights ago. So, but what I was thinking about this when I was writing this song is one of the things that I really try to give up, and I have to try on a daily basis, is to give up my negative self-talk. You know, that voice that says, you're not good enough, you'll never be a good enough. And I don't know, I've been getting some peace from that voice lately, and maybe I am finding my identity more and more in Christ these days. I think it kind of goes up and down, but so for today, let's not say bad things about ourselves in our head or to other people, especially to other people. And let's be kind to each other, and that's it.
The rules when I start, I think I can, but it falls apart
This is a marshmallow. Squishy, chewy, delicious. And it is a test of whether or not you love Jesus. So who needs a marshmallow who doesn't have one? Just if you don't have a marshmallow, you need a marshmallow. Does everyone have a marshmallow? You need to have a marshmallow. We have some people distributing marshmallows, even as we speak, while every head is bowed and every eye is closed, indicate that you need a marshmallow. But the one thing I do not want you to do this morning is to enjoy this marshmallow. Not until I tell you. You see, for the last 2 months, we have been looking at just 2 verses from the Bible. In fact, we haven't just been looking at 2 verses. We've been focusing in on 9 words. Literally, we have been going through the Bible word by word. The verses we have been looking at come to us from the letter that the Apostle Paul wrote to the churches in central Turkey in the region of Galatia. It is preserved for us in our Bibles as what we call the book of Galatians. And in Galatians chapter 5, verse 22, there is a list of 9 words. It says that the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And so we have been looking at these 9 words in Galatians 5, 22 and 23, but we really have not. We've only been looking at 1 word. I suggested almost 2 months ago that Galatians 5:22 is not a list of the fruits of the Spirit, but of the singular fruit of the Spirit. And the fruit of the Spirit is love. Grammatically, the structure of this sentence in Galatians 5:22 and 23 places the word love, agape, as an apodosis. Grammatically, the words that follow love modify love. You could say that love looks like joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. This is how we know what love is. It looks like these things. So we have been, for the last 2 months, basically talking about 1 word, love. Now you may say, Dave, man, that's a lot of time spent talking about 1 word, but can you think of anything in our day that is more important for us to be excellent at than to be people who truly know what love is, who know what it is and know how to show love? It's obviously that important. In fact, it was the Apostle Paul in his famous chapter about love in the letter to the Corinthian church. In 1 Corinthians chapter 13, he begins by saying, if I were to be able to speak in the tongues of men and angels, in unknown languages, but I didn't have love, I would just be making noise. I would be a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. He said, if I could know all things and I could fathom all ministries, if I had faith that could move mountains, but I didn't have love, I would amount to nothing. He says, if I give my body, I give everything that I have to the poor, and I give my body literally as a sacrifice. I give my body to the flames. I give away everything that I have, but if I do not have love, I gain nothing. It's worthless. It's a waste of time. So I think these have been 2 months well spent focusing on the fruit of the Spirit that is love. So I think it's worth us remembering that. I think it's worth us saying it together. So would you say Galatians 5:22 and 23 with me? The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. These are things that are worth remembering. And today, we come to the last of the 8 modifiers of love. Love looks a lot like, today, the marshmallow, because it looks a lot like self-control. But before we talk about what that means and how we do it, would you pray with me? Father in heaven, I would ask that the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart would be pleasing in your sight, and that you would use your word spoken by your servant and anointed by your Spirit to challenge us and to move us and to change us. May we not just be people who know about love. May we be people who go about showing love. Pray that for myself and for my family and for all of us here. For I ask that in Jesus' name. Amen. His name was Walter Mischel. Walter Mischel in the 60s, 70s, and 80s was one of the leading academic researchers in the psychological field of the study of self-control. Walter Mischel taught at Harvard University and at Stanford University and at Columbia University and made quite a reputation developing clinical and therapeutic techniques for behavioral therapy, which eventually became cognitive behavioral therapy that is used by clinicians to this day. But Walter Mischel is most famous for an experiment that he conducted in the late 1960s. He and his team conducted an experiment which has come to be known as the marshmallow experiment. And what the marshmallow experiment is they took a group of a couple of hundred preschoolers and 5- and 6-year-olds, and they put them in a room with a prompter and a single marshmallow. And the prompter said to the child, "This marshmallow, if you do not eat it for 10 minutes, I will give you a second marshmallow if you don't eat it for 10 minutes. And then they measured the impulsivity of these children, and they were looking for differences of gender, differences of race, differences of socioeconomic background. They were looking for patterns, the predictability of the absence or the presence of self-control in these young children. Eventually, in the test, they added a variable in the test that they called hot and cold temptations. The cold temptation meant that a couple minutes into the 10 minutes, the prompter would begin to describe the marshmallow to the child. Would say, look at this marshmallow, feel it, its texture, it's squishy, it's white, examine the color. These were the cold temptations. The hot temptations, the prompter would sit in the room and say, marshmallows are delicious. We love them. Do you remember when you were at a campfire with your families and you roasted them and how gooey and sweet they were, how lovely they were, how they felt squishy in your mouth and on your tongue? And what they obviously found was that the children who were exposed to cold temptations were far less likely to behave impulsively than the children who were exposed to hot temptations. But of all of the results of Meissner's marshmallow test, Mischel and his team found out something dramatic many years later. A few decades later, they went back and they interviewed these same children, now as young adults, and they interviewed their parents. And what they found was that there was a stunning correlation between the children who, as preschoolers, had behaved impulsively and cases of obesity and increased body mass index. What was shocking to them was they also found that there was a higher degree of children who were successful in business, who had higher standardized test scores and GPAs related to those who had resisted the temptation to eat the marshmallow. It showed that over time, self-control was shaping the destiny of these children's lives. So what is it? What is self-control? What does it mean? Well, psychologically speaking, self-control is really self-denial. It is self-inhibition, self-regulation. It is a form of self-discipline. In fact, in the psychological literature, this is how self-control is described. Self-control is an aspect of inhibitory control. It is the ability to regulate one's emotions, thoughts, and behavior in the face of temptation and impulses. As an executive function, it is a cognitive process that is necessary for regulating one's behavior in order to achieve specific goals. Self-control is thought to be much like a muscle. Whether emotional or behavioral, self-control is a limited resource which functions like energy. In the short term, overuse of self-control leads to depletion. However, in the long term, the use of self-control can strengthen and improve over time. Now, if you compare the psychological definition of self-control as self-regulation, as self-inhibition, as self-discipline, you find an overlap with the attributes of self-control in the Bible. The Bible very much represents self-control as this self-regulatory, self-inhibitory, self-discipline that improves the quality of our lives. And in that respect, the biblical definition of self-control and the psychological definition of self-control are pretty much identical, except for one thing. The word in the New Testament that is used for self-control most often is the word egratia. Egratia literally means, and it's not used that often in the New Testament, but it literally means in strength or in power. If you break the word down, it has a prefix. The epsilon gamma egg is the prefix, and that means in. When you put that prefix on a word, it means in something or by means of something. And the root word is the word kratia, which comes from the word kratos. And kratos is an unusual word. You see, the most common word in the Greek language for power or for strength is the word dunamis, from which we get dynamite. But this word is a very different word. It means a very specific kind of power or strength. It means exclusively a strength that comes from God. It's used by the Apostle Paul in Ephesians, in the book of Ephesians, in Ephesians chapter 1. He talks about the strength, the mighty kratos, God's power that raised Christ from the dead. He uses kratos again in Ephesians chapter 6, where he talks about God's mighty strength, God's mighty kratos. It is an attribute exclusively ascribed to God. God is the source of the power. Peter uses this the same way. In 1 Peter chapter 4, he talks about, in a doxological way, he talks about God's glory and God's mighty kratos, God's mighty power. He repeats the phrase again in 1 Peter chapter 6, where he talks about God's mighty kratos power. You see, the difference between the self-control in a purely psychological definition and self-control in a biblical definition is self-control relies on God's strength, not ours. It's hard for us to understand, but it's like a light bulb. Have you ever held a light bulb in your hand and had it turn on just by holding it? No, we know that a light bulb, it doesn't function until it is connected to a power source. And then it illuminates, and then the filament in the vacuum glows, and we see the light, but it's nothing without the power source. You see, self-control in the Bible is a self-willed control by God. It's hard for me to believe, but it was 36 years ago, over 36 years ago, and the reason I remember that is Diane was pregnant with our youngest daughter, Caitlin, and she's 36 years old. And for some reason to this day, I don't know exactly why we decided to do this, because we had a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and my wife was 6 months pregnant with another child, we decided, brilliantly, to take a road trip in our little Volvo station wagon to Yellowstone National Park. Do you realize how far away Yellowstone is? It is forever away when you have 2 preschoolers and a pregnant wife. But one of the reasons we decided to do this was we had friends in Dallas whose family had a gigantic, multiple 100,000-acre cattle ranch in southwestern Nebraska. And they said, why don't you come up here and be cowboys for a while with our family? And I thought, that'll be great. And so we went up to this little town called Imperial, Nebraska, in southwest Nebraska, and we stayed with Cal and Barb Gurman on their multiple 100,000-acre cattle ranch. And Cal Gurman was a man's man. He was not a man to be trifled with. Cal Gurman was the kind of guy who, when you met him, he would intentionally squeeze your hand so hard, shaking your hand, that he wanted you to beg him to let him go. And if you cried, I don't think he became friends with you. And so Cal would say, that's how I know if a man's a man's man. Unfortunately, I didn't know that, but we had this kind of hand-squeezing contest until he said, okay, we're fine. But Cal, was a rancher, and Cal was also an Air Force pilot, and he had flown in the Korean War. In fact, he had been shot down behind enemy lines and survived. So this was the kind of guy you didn't mess with. And Cal had a number of airplanes because he had a ranch that covered many square miles. He had airplanes to fly to cattle auctions, to fly to check on his cattle. He also had a special plane that he flew to Nebraska football games. And he said, Dave, do you want to go fly with me? And I was like, absolutely. This is going to be fun. So we drive to this little jicky airport in Imperial, Nebraska. It's just a couple rows of hangars, and they have his airplanes in them. And he opens up the one, and he shows me this beautiful Beechcraft Twin. It had curtains in the windows and tinted glass. It was really nice. I thought, this is going to be great. But he said, we're not going to fly in that. If we go to the hangar next door, and we open the doors, and I'm looking at what looks like a papier-mâché airplane. It was this yellow thing, and he goes, here, help me pull it out. And we grabbed the wing struts and pulled it out. And I promise you, I've pushed lawnmowers that weighed more than this airplane. It was an airplane called a Citabra. And so it was 2 seats, one in front of the other. And it didn't have a door. It kind of had a flap on the side. And so we get in the plane, and all he says to me is, make sure your belts are on tight. It had shoulder harnesses, lap belts. And then he's tapping on a little plexiglass window above our heads to make sure there's gasoline in the plane, fuel, because that's how you check the fuel, the little window. I'm like, the fuel is above our heads? And I didn't say that, and he goes, you ready? And he started up, and we took off. I promise you, for the next hour, I was upside down more than I was right side up. We were flying through the sky of Nebraska, doing barrel rolls, doing stalls, doing loops, doing all kinds of things. It's literally the only time in my life when I actually could not tell which way was up. Because I was looking over Cal's shoulder out the window, and all I saw was ground, sky, ground, sky, ground, sky. And so we flew, and we survived, obviously. But the most interesting thing about the Citabra, and you have to know that Citabra is somebody's idea of a joke, because Citabra is the word aerobatic spelled backwards. That should have been my first clue. But the plane only sat 2 people. There were 2 seats. There was a pilot seat in front and the seat I was in the back. And the interesting thing about the Citabra was that there was a full set of flight controls in the back seat. There was a stick and a rudder, and there were the rudder pedals, and there was a throttle control, a fuel mixture control, and I could have flown the plane from the back seat. Now, whether or not I could have wrestled it away from Cal was very unlikely, but the reality is I had the ability to choose to fly the plane. The problem is there were only 2 people in the plane, and only one of them was a pilot, and that wasn't me. You want to know what self-control looks like? Self-control looks just like trusting the pilot. You see, the amazing thing about self-control is that it is our decision, our choice. God has created a universe in which we are free to decide whether or not we will trust him. And we can fight the stick and we can fight the pilot our whole life. Or we can believe that the pilot knows what the pilot's doing. This is no easy thing. This is hard. It's hard to do. And it's hard because it's an oxymoron. It's a paradox. Self-control is giving up control. Self-control is releasing control to God. Self-control is not me controlling myself, but allowing God to control me. God controls myself. And that's a hard thing to do. Now, this was hard not just for all of us. It was hard for the Apostle Paul. It was hard for the architect of the New Testament. In Romans chapter 7, he says, I don't even understand what I do, because the thing that I want to do is what I hate to do, or I wind up doing what I hate to do. And the very thing, the evil thing I don't want to do, that's the thing that I keep on doing. You see, the struggle to release control, I blame Darwin, actually. And it's not Darwin's fault, but Darwin made the case that we are just highly developed animals. The only difference between us and the lions and the tigers and the bears is that we have a consciousness, we have a more fully developed sense of self. But we have in us, in our human nature, an instinct of self-preservation. And that instinct of self-preservation compels us to control everything, to control our environment, to control the dangers of the world. And so we obsess over the accumulation of the things that build safety, that build security, that build comfort. And we're seduced into this idea that moderation is for suckers. That if you really want to succeed in life, you always need more. And what you need more of is more control. So how do we do it? How do we, if we are inclined to disregard God and to seek to control our world and ourselves on our own, how do we make it happen? Well, from a psychological point of view, the solution that has been suggested is what's called cognitive behavioral therapy. And it's rooted in some of the greatest academic and researchers of the 20th century, like Ivan Pavlov and B.F. Skinner and Abraham Maslow and Walter Mischel. But it was B.F. Skinner who pioneered what has fallen on disfavor in clinical circles now. But B.F. Skinner pioneered the idea of behavioral therapy, of changing how we exhibit self-control by learning different behaviors, alternate behaviors. And over Skinner's career, he collected, or he listed 9 techniques that he used in his behavioral therapy clinic. They are physical restraint and assistance. This is the most extreme case, to keep a person from harming themselves or from doing something to others. Physical restraint. Stimulus removal was the second one. Third one was deprivation and satiation, teaching the people to become satisfied by depriving them of their normal food or their sleep or their fears. Fourth was manipulation of emotional conditions. Fifth was aversive stimulation, which is punishing a person. When something goes wrong, you make it painful for them. Sixth thing was drugs, to use psychotropic drugs. Number 7 is operant conditioning, which is positive reinforcement, saying, that was good, that was better. Number 8 was self-punishment, encouraging the person to hold themselves more accountable. But it's number 9 that's most interesting. It sounds like he kind of mailed it in on number 9. He just ran out of, just do something else. But Skinner made an important observation about that ninth category. He said that what he had found was that was the primary way that people of faith changed their behavior and improved their self-control. The people with a deeply religious conviction were people who went about changing their ability to be more self-controlled by introducing into their lives alternatives. It's what I call spiritual replacement theory. Now, I know that all of us know some people whose life trauma and whose struggle with paranoia or anxiety or fear or addiction is so desperate because of the wounds and because of the struggles of their life journey that they need focused clinical or professional help to work through, to sort through those inner issues, to guide them through the inner work. But for most of us, how do we just keep from eating too much? How do we keep from giving into those temptations, those renegade rogue thoughts that seem to pop up everywhere in our lives? Well, I would suggest that one of the ways we do it is behavioral therapy, spiritual replacement therapy. You begin to fill your life with the things that are life-giving, that are encouraging, that are affirming. You begin manifesting those things to others. And the principle is simple. If you fill your life with so much good, there's less room for the bad. If you fill your life with more light, there's less room for the dark. Walter Mischel did a study, the marshmallow experiment, and found a number of interesting things. He found out that socioeconomic factors did lead children who grew up in poverty were more inclined to be impulsive and to eat the marshmallow. They found that there was very little difference, just a statistical difference between boys and girls. That's kind of shocking. I thought boys would be much more impulsive, but it wasn't. There was no difference between races. But they found that the number one difference that children developed an impulsivity, an environment that created a lack of self-control was one thing. There was one dominant feature of their lives. And this is convicting stuff. You know what it was? Absentee parents. Because they found that the children who had broken or absent relationships with their parents were less inclined to trust adults and those in authority. And they found it more difficult to trust the prompter when the prompter said, if you wait 10 minutes, I will give you a second marshmallow. And what Mischel came to the conclusion was that at the core of self-control is one key issue, the issue of trust. As I was tumbling through the sky over Nebraska with Cal Gurman, and he was laughing hilariously, trying to make me throw up because Cal had this thing. He said, that's how I get the inside of my airplane clean. Because if you throw up in my airplane, you have to clean it. And I disappointed him in that I didn't throw up in his airplane, but there were two things that occurred to me as we were tumbling through the sky over southwestern Nebraska. The first one was, there's only two people in this airplane, and only one of them is a pilot, and that's not me. But the second thing that occurred to me was just as important, and that was the idea the cow didn't want to die either. The cow wasn't saying, hey, Dave, let's go up in the plane and end everything. Cal wanted to get me home as much as he wanted to be home. Why is it that we imagine that God somehow has any less of a passion for us? I don't know what kind of God you have faith in, but the kind of God that I have faith in makes no mistakes, is perfect in knowledge and perfect in power and perfect in love. And it is the promise that I will get you home. Even when your world is spinning, even when you seem to be literally falling out of the sky, I have brought you with me to bring you home. And you can trust the pilot. You see, this is what's embedded in the idea of ekratia. It's embedded in this root word, in power. It's not in our power. It's in the acquiescence of our power to God's power. Because it's in his power that our lives are controlled. He is the one who is in control. And our choice is to trust that. So there's one last question, one final question that we have to ask. And this is a question that was asked by a brilliant social commentator, a person who was what I call an expert dance theologian. Her name was Tina Turner. And she asked this question in 1984 on her best-selling album ever called Private Dancer. And it was a song that as soon as I mention it, it will be stuck in your head like a tumor. But it was her best-selling song. It is a song called What's Love Got to Do with It? What does love have to do with it? What does love have to do with self-control? What does love have to do with trust? Everything. It has everything to do with it. That's why when we are considering what is the fruit of the Spirit of God in us creates in us love. And that love is represented to us through joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and faithfulness and gentleness and self-control. This is where self-control comes from trusting in a loving God. That's why I think it's worth remembering the way that we have studied this passage. We have spent 2 months talking about love. We spent 2 months in the orchard, as it were, looking at this fruit. And so I think it's worth remembering what that fruit is. Would you say Galatians 5:22 and 23 with me? For the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. This is the fruit of the Spirit. This is the marshmallow. Enjoy.
I count on one thing. those around you. We love you all. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week.